Back at it again. Hoop Talk with my man Adam Nelson. I think he's got the best hair in the game. I've just now really paid attention, and I feel like it's going to another level. He's on March Madness Sweet 16 level right now, man. How do you do it? Tell us the secret. What's the secret?
Like you said, man, this is the March Madness. Got to be ready for it. Got to look sharp, man. I appreciate it.
Locked in.
It's special. It's just how I roll.
Locked in, man. When you got it, you got it. They say it's not tricking if you got it. So when you got it, you got it. So much to talk about. So we got 2 episodes back to back. This episode will be dedicated to talking about jobs, which everybody wants to hear about. Everybody wants to talk about. There's been so much that's happening. So we'll just open up with some just opening thoughts on the job madness that's going on in March. I'll say this to lead into it. It feels like there's more jobs that have been open and closed before the Sweet 16s even started than I can ever remember. And I've only been in this business probably around it 20 years. But in my time doing this, man, I've never seen anything like it. So any thoughts from you?
Yeah, you're right. Well, first of all, I'm fired up back for another episode together. Like,
yes,
March Madness, love it. We'll keep it rolling. But yeah, you're right. And I'm a little older than you. I've been in this business a little longer.
Yeah,
but you are absolutely right. This is the quickest I've seen stuff get done. And when I was coming up, and same with you, I'm sure you'd wait to get to the Final Four because you'd hear of all the ADs are going to be there and they're meeting with head coaches and they're banging. Stuff was kind of drawn out then, but now it's like we didn't even get to like Sweet 16 weekend here. Like stuff is nuts. It's flying. And I think so. And I've talked to a lot of guys about this over the last couple of days, and there's a couple of trains of thought. First of all, I think in this new kind of like Zoom world we live in, it makes it a lot easier. You're not waiting to get guys on campus, or you're not waiting to all be in one place at the Final Four. You can get the stuff done really quickly on Zoom. But there's 2 other important factors here.
Yeah, I want to see what you think because I got a couple of theories too.
Yeah, so you got Zoom, then you actually have the search firms, which help a lot because they give a lot of background information.
Yep.
You can say I'm interested in these 3 guys, and within an hour, you've got that file. You've got salary, what they'll, what you think they'll accept, background, blah blah blah. So search firms, but the third part of that is right now with the transfer portal.
Yep.
Like you got to go, baby. There is no time. You can't leave a job open for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month because you're going to start losing ground.
Yep.
And I know we're going to talk about a lot of these jobs, but look at how many jobs have been filled. We'll open up on a Friday and are filled by a Monday. Like here we go. You're not losing ground. I mean, it was awesome. I just watched Archie Miller, his little interview at URI, and he said he's starting to work like boom right away, wasting no time. He said he's got no life. He's going to be in the gym. He's going to be recruiting. He's going to be focused on building that thing like from day one, which you have to be. But like that's what I'm saying. Like guys get hired within a few days, and they're all over that portal, man, and not messing around. So I think those are kind of the 3 big things. The portal, the search firms, and the Zoom world are making things like supersonic here.
No, you hit it on the head. I would have said it a little different order, but in terms of like the Zoom world happened because of people had to, and you talked about this before with almost a trickle down effect at the lower level, but the pandemic has changed how we had to recruit, right? Kids had to come on campus.
Yep.
Our kids didn't have to come on campus during that time. Jobs were getting filled during that time, not as quick as this, but it was faster because you had to. You couldn't bring people to campus because of limitations. So that started it, right? That was this trigger effect. The search firm part definitely cuts a lot of, because most of these places still have hired search firms, even though these things have moved fast. And it just gives so much more of that middle person to communicate things and get information back and forth and know where you stand versus, negotiating like you kind of used to have to. And then the transfer portal, I think it's twofold because you don't want to miss out on the new guys you can get. But I think even more so, teams and organizations and programs are afraid of losing the players you have.
Yeah.
Because you have nobody in place, and then their phones are ringing or they're getting texts, whether they're supposed to or not. People are connecting dots and figuring out how they can get good fast. And college basketball, I think it's also changed the trend of having to hire guys who have this almost like recruiting, this elite level recruiting experience. Like I've heard some people be critical. I don't have any problem saying it on this, of the Todd Golden hire to Florida. Like, well, wait a minute, how does he get to skip to get to that job from one NCAA tournament appearance, blah, 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 blah. Whereas maybe they have a template they've used. They've always hired young guys in their 30s. They kind of have taken that Billy Donovan, whether they've had the same success, they've taken that kind of look and resume, so to speak, to say we're going to go that route. But the other part is you don't have to sign 5 stars at Florida anymore or places like that. You know, you can get high-level dudes out of the portal that will transfer that all of a sudden make an impact on your program, and you're in a completely different place. You know what I mean? And even looking at like Matt McMahon, he's at LSU now. They didn't have a great year at Murray the year before. They had some struggles, COVID, everything else, asterisk year for everybody, but they did a tremendous job in the portal, as many people did. And next thing you know, they're one of the best mid-majors in the country. So I think it's twofold. On all those things you said, I think you're right. And I think that's the reason why things have gone faster.
Yeah, no, you're right. And also, you know, another good example, you know, you look at Iowa State, what TJ Altenberger has done. You know, they were, you know, last year they were 2-22. And what he's done with that thing in a year is unbelievable.
Yep.
And that's because he hit the transfer portal.
Yep.
You know, and I think that's important. You know, and the transfer portal, you know, it's you know, it's really done a lot of, you know, different guys have different opinions, fine, but you have to embrace it if you want to be successful, without a doubt. And you know, it's funny, I've talked to a lot of coaches, coaches who have not changed jobs, you know, coaches who are back at their school for next year, and they've all kind of said the same thing. Their first thing they do when the season is ending now is they're recruiting their own players. They're just making sure those guys are coming back.
Have to,
you know, and that's
gotta have those end of the year meetings faster. You can't wait till after spring break. Like you have to know, hey, are we in? We out? What are we doing? Right. So they know what they need to replace too. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, NCAA did put the deadline in place for portal transfers to be done by, a certain time in May. So you're not getting this bomb in June or July saying I'm leaving. Not saying guys won't still do it, because I wouldn't be surprised if people still try it, but at least they're trying to create some type of deadline. But yeah, like you said, you got to recruit your own players as big as anything now.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's a whole new world, man. It really is. It's a whole new world. But you know what? They say adapt or die. So you got to adapt, man. And if you don't adapt, if you're going to be stubborn, you're going to lose games, and you're not going to have a job. So
yeah,
I would.
I think one trend I want to mention. So let's talk about a few trends that's going on.
Yeah.
So one trend that I see, and I think we all see it, but the trend of, let me see if I can pull this up. Just so I have a little label. Okay. So we got an opening combo. So trends, right? So this trends, one trend I want to mention and talk about before we get into specific jobs is the older regime is now phasing out. And now the next wave of coaches is coming through. You obviously had major retirements last year with Roy Williams. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Coach K stepped down this year. You know, you have guys like Frank Martin, Bruce Weber that are no longer in those positions. That those guys were kind of fixtures at the high major level. Wherever they were going to be there. You know, so I think that's one thing that's kind of interesting to see, is like it's totally different now. Is the faces that will be the mainstays at that level are not. And obviously Boeheim's kind of still hanging on, Huggins, but there's very few of them that are still kind of just in there hanging along and kicking. So your thoughts on that trend?
Yeah, no, you're right. I think that's a good point. You know, a lot of those kind of big names, you know, names that you and I came up with,
right?
You know, are going. You know, even a guy like Mark Turgeon, who was at Maryland. You know, they're going. So, and like you said, I mean, there's a trend. I mean, there's definitely some
the Tom Creans of the world. He's another one that's been there. He's been there a long time.
Exactly. But now, you know, we're looking at some young guys, some up and comers. I mean, look at like a Dennis Gates. He's going to be a guy that's going to be around for a while. Maybe a Todd Golden's going to be a guy that's going to be around for a while. So we're kind of starting to look at that next generation. I'm just kind of going over my list. I mean, like a guy like Matt McMahon, he got a great gig. So that's a name that's going to be around. But yeah, no, it's definitely some of the older guys are moving on, and it is this new generation.
It's a new wave. It's just cool to see because you almost think like there's a point in time where you almost can't imagine college basketball without some of those. Roy Williams, Coach K, you go down the line, it's like those are the guys. But now it's very different, you know what I mean? Just even thinking about like, not even to mention some of these names, but like the guy used to be at Michigan, John Beeline. He was in the mix for a long time. And there's so many guys that were so good at the high major level for a long time. They were mainstays that it's changing. So a lot of these head coaching jobs that are opening, I mean, you're not seeing the same name being hired that used to be somewhere else that's just moving to another place. It's literally new people moving up. A lot of mid-major guys getting leveled up, which is always exciting to see, and we'll keep talking about that. So another trend, I love this trend. You tweeted about this, and it's kind of just a different, I guess, way of looking at it, but hiring the assistant coach or the associate head coach at the same level, not saying, hey, Mark Adams, we need you to go pay your dues at this other level and then climb up. Or Tommy Lloyd, you've been at Gonzaga. I think Tommy Lloyd, my humble opinion, Tommy Lloyd and Mark Adams both going to Sweet 16, both being elite right-hand men to Mark Few, Chris Beard. Then they get an opportunity. Mark Adams stayed at the place he was. He had been a head coach before in junior college, won a national championship. And then Tommy Lloyd goes in the same part of the region of the country to Arizona, which some would say it's even maybe a better job than Gonzaga in some ways, right? Pac-12. So, and those guys are having Sweet 16 success, top 10, 12 teams in the country most of the year. And, I mean, Texas Tech wasn't even ranked to start the year. That's kind of like Iowa State, which we'll talk about that too. But I think that trend of you don't have to go – so for Jerome Tang – I think that trend led to Jerome Tang being like, Kansas State, you know what? Let's do that. Yeah. Because I do think this theory is part of my theory for obviously there's a lot of rivalry between Texas Tech and Texas. The whole world saw that, and we will continue to see that. Which great television, right? You got to love that part of the game and the fan bases. But I think on Arizona's part, I think there was a strategy. How can we take down and make Gonzaga weaker so we can be stronger and say, okay, like if we take one of their best weapons on their staff, then we'll be stronger and they'll be a little bit weaker, So I think Kansas State, to their credit, I don't know if that was their thinking, but they take Jerome Tang, who's 19 years mainstay at Baylor, which is incredible to stay someplace 19 years. Never heard of that in my life. And so to take him, won a national championship, and he had such a big part of the defense and recruiting and day-to-day that it's awesome to see him be able to get his own program. But I think those trends with those two coaches made that where that was a cool thing to do. And going back, even Kyle Neptune, he got hired finally, got his opportunity at drawing a blank.
Fordham.
He's got an opportunity at Fordham, was with Jay Wright, won multiple national championships there. So anyway, I'll pass to you. I think that trend is becoming more of a thing like, well, you don't have to get this lower level job or you don't have to wait for the mid-major. Like you can get a high major job right there.
Yeah, no, you're right. And I think that's it's nice to see, from a coaching standpoint, a guy that's been in it for a long time. I've been in it. You've been in it for to see guys get rewarded. Right. Jerome Tang at Baylor for 19 years, put in his work. And gets a great Big 12 job. So it's nice. As I said, it's nice to see those. Mark Adams at Texas Tech, right after the year they had last season with Chris Beard, and it was great. And then
national championship game, lose to Virginia 2-3 seasons ago, not counting COVID.
Yep, right. And I say this with all due respect, Chris Beard goes, Mark Adams is not like a sexy hire. It's not like it was not like one of these young up and comers, but they, 100% made the right move. I mean, look what he's done with this group. And, he is a basketball lifer. He knows the game, and it's great to see guys like that get rewarded.
I think it's smart too, because it's like, do you think it was just the head coach that allowed them to win at that high of a level? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so to actually understand, like, let me steal from high level winning. But again, it wasn't sexy. Tommy Lloyd really helped make it more acceptable, and then Mark Adams as well. And I think Texas Tech people knew what Mark Adams meant to that program, so they didn't want to lose, kind of like we're talking about with these decisions. They made that decision pretty quickly. They didn't want to lose momentum of the guys they had. They didn't want to lose recruiting. So I think that was smart on that side. But then to see the success, I think it's just opening people's eyes like, well, wait a minute. This is another avenue that was never really considered before. It was almost like you had to be a high major assistant just to get like a lower or mid-major job. But you weren't getting another high major job. It just, you didn't get hired in the same league. It just didn't happen,
Right. Well, you're right. But you go back, look at we were talking about Dennis Gates a little bit, but he was in a, high major assistant in Florida. Well, what does he have to do? He has to go to Florida State, right? Florida State. He has to go to Cleveland State, goes down to, the horizon,
right.
And, does really well there. And now, now he's a high major head coach,
right.
So that's, like you said, that's kind of like that old trend where, you got to move and again, a guy like Todd Golden, at San Francisco, and then gets the bump. So, it's definitely, there's a bunch of ways you can do it.
Right.
But seeing those guys like Adams and Tang get rewarded is really, it's great.
Yeah. And I think Dennis Gates kind of fits into this mold too, because normally there's like one more stop for a guy like Gates.
Yeah.
To have to go mid plus before you can get the high major. Right. And even you look at like Chris Jans, similar situation. New Mexico State's in the WAC, one bid league at the end of the day, but they were going to the Mountain West. You look at Marvin Menzies. He went to UNLV, still high level job. Paul Weir goes to New Mexico, high level job, but not Power 5 job. But now you're saying, okay, we're going to skip that level. We're going to go straight to proven winner. I love it. I just love to see more guys. Again, Ben Howland's another one that's kind of been a mainstay. He was out for a little while, but back in. But you just don't see the same retrend hires of like the guy that was there and then he's in the studio and now he comes back. It's different, which is good to see. All right. Any other trends before we get to the good stuff that you want to jump out? I guess the hiring, we talked about hiring fast. That's another trend. We talked about that.
Yep.
Any other trends or things that stick out in general?
No, I think those are the biggest trends right now. And like you said, I just think, the hiring fast is this new world we live in. I think that, to be honest, that's here to stay. Like, that's not going anywhere. Like you said, maybe, hiring an associate head coach to a high major or promoting him from with, whatever, like that stuff, maybe year to year, who knows? But, this Zoom stuff, this search firm stuff, and the portal not going away. So
yeah, I'll add this one too. I think the mid-major hires for the guy that was successful prior to. So we talked Todd Golden a bunch. Todd Golden, there's a lot of talk right now about what's going to happen in North Texas. Is Grant going to take another job? Is he staying? Ross is pretty much Hodges in line to take the job. If not, you look at last year, different scenario, but Damon Stoudemire leaves. Leonard Perry gets moved up. Like, there's just seems like there's been a little more decisiveness to give the guy who was the right-hand man at the mid-major level, and that guy gets promoted quicker than you saw in the past too.
Well, you're right. So, going back, let's go Todd Golden again at San Francisco. Leaves within like 24 hours. Chris Gerlifson, the associate head coach at San Francisco, was named as the head coach. Like, no hesitation, they moved. And we're going to talk about some of these, but like New Mexico State with James Miller there, like how quick's that can happen? Cleveland State, there's two guys there. That might get the bump. So and again, we're going to beat this for a while, but you go back to the transfer portal and losing guys. So what do? Boom, name that associate head coach quick. Especially from a winning program. You've been somewhere successful, like the job that Chris Jans did. Boom, he did a great job. It gets him into the SEC. Well, maybe you got to promote his associate head coach and keep that thing rolling. There's some good examples.
Yeah, I go back to even like this is going back a little bit, but I mean Scott Perry when he got hired, right? Like it wasn't as fast, but that was when the portal, they had older guys that had like grad transfer ability. They could go quick.
Yep.
So they made that decision faster to try to retain those guys, and those guys kind of rallied behind it. Ended up going to different places, but they helped him get the job. And he's done a good job there, Scott Perry has. I'm not saying anything against that. It's just those guys ended up leaving, even though they said, like, hey, he's our guy. We're going to try to stay, and then the band left. But anyway, let's get to the jobs. You want to talk about openings first, or you want to talk about the hires first?
Whatever you think. Whatever you got. We could jump around.
Let's do both. Let's jump around. I like that idea. Good thinking. So we'll go job opening first.
Okay.
Let's pick an opening that you'd like to talk about first. Anyone, you tell me.
So let's go. Well, let's talk about. You got George Washington here.
Let's do that. Let's do GW. GW first, and then we'll do 2 openings, then we'll do 2 hires.
All right.
Just alternate it. That way nobody can try to cheat the show and I'm just gonna go to the end. Or you gotta stay with us the whole time. Sorry.
I like it. So I mean, so George Washington's been an interesting one where, James Jones from Yale has been a really big name there. I think he's, so James Jones has chased some jobs every year now. He's kind of getting up there where, I think it's time for him to get paid, and, he's involved at San Diego too, so I think could be the year for him to make a move. George Washington's a good spot. Mike Pegues, the former interim head coach at Louisville, he's involved at George Washington, and I lost my list, but we got some others, so it's a really good job, in the Atlantic 10. So speaking of the Atlantic 10, obviously I think URI did a good job with Archie Miller, but the one that's open right now in the Atlantic 10 too is UMass.
Yeah, I'm curious about this one. This one's
just talked about, guys moving quickly here. How about UMass being like they
were the first ones open.
Yeah, so right, they announced Matt McCall kind of being
before the season was officially over.
Exactly, he coached a few games before it was over. So there's some thought that maybe Mark Schmidt could be the choice there from St. Bonaventure. They're still alive in the NIT, so maybe they're waiting. Maybe they're waiting for that.
I mean, that was like one of the first names I think we talked about was that.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. He knows the league, and I don't know. There's some people want to say Frank Martin there. I can't see that. Kamani Young, the associate head coach at UConn, was mentioned there really early.
It seems like if that was going to happen, though, like you said, they probably would have done it because they're not playing. Now, I didn't think about Mark Smith. That makes sense because they are still playing.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a guy that's been in the league, had super high level success at St. Bonnie's. Didn't have the year that they probably wanted to have this year because they were preseason top 25, had an amazing year last year.
Yep. But also, so the feeling, it sounds like that, Schmidt could be the guy, but then, you hear all those other names, and then you still have Jared Grasso there lurking, after the year he had. And I think he was, kind of hoping maybe for URI. That didn't work out, but, UMass is still a good A-10 job. But I'm just, again, unless they're waiting for Schmidt, I'm surprised that it's open so long, with some other A-10 jobs open. But it's an interesting one.
Right. One more trend that we'll talk about this. Let's bring this next job up. I'll bring up my last trend that I have for you. So Murray State.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on this one? Because this is obviously a high level job. Has always kind of been another one of those like leapfrog type of places that people go there, win big, and get a high major job.
Yeah. So it's obviously super early there.
Yep.
But 2 names, you talk to guys and you kind of start hearing the same names. Yeah. Obviously, Tim Kaine, who's an assistant coach there. He was there, been there 7 years with McMahon, and
fantastic.
I'm assuming the players have his back. I mean, I think that will be, one of those guys you promote. But one name that comes up a lot is Preston Spradling from Moorhead.
Yep. Same league. Yep.
Yeah. And he's come up more than once from some really good guys.
Yep. I've heard his name a lot too.
Yeah. So
I heard his name even before Matt McMahon left, that he would be a person that they would want to talk to.
Yeah. So again,
went to the tournament in the same league. He went to the NCAA tournament last season, and was the second best team in the league this year.
Yeah, right. So again, right, and it's still early there. Who knows what's coming out of there? Those are the names that I hear a lot. But again, listen, we talked about some of these guys from successful programs. Your head leaves, promote them and keep this thing rolling. So in my mind, Tim Kaine should be the guy there. But you never know. You don't know.
I love that idea. I'm 100% Tim Kaine fan, supporter, believer. He's been on All Access. He's part of Embrace Us. I love the dude. I think he's phenomenal.
Yeah.
There's a trend I'm gonna bring up with this job that is interesting. It's the run it back trend, right? Meaning Xavier decided with Sean Miller to run it back, right? He's out. He's familiar. Yep. So I've heard Steve Prohm, this is the job that he wants to have again. He's kept relationships there. He's not in any malicious way, but he's just made sure that, hey, if something is to happen, would love to be back there. Mm-hmm. And so I would imagine he left on great terms and obviously did a phenomenal job there. So I would just be curious if the running back trend is gonna benefit him the same way it did Sean Miller.
Yeah, I think it's a good name there. It's a good point. I just wonder, with that one, how much 2-22 hurts him coming from Iowa State. But it's a guy who's had, I think, great relationships there. But also on the other hand, Sean Miller got a job at Xavier again, and he had a lot more baggage than 2-22.
Man,
he
that's a whole nother show. But man, we got to at least mention it.
A lot of infractions at Arizona, so he's still going to get hired. But unfortunately, and that's the nature of this business. He still won.
Yeah, so, and ultimately that's what these programs want to do.
Yeah,
these athletic programs, these universities, they want to win because it's bottom line still win. It creates money, buzz, tournament, everything else. So I struggle with that, to be honest, because the other part of it is the program still has their sanctions, but the coach doesn't.
Yeah.
But the coach is the one who did it or was in charge, but it doesn't follow him, but it stays with the program. It's such a backwards thing, which a lot of things the NCAA does is backwards. No, it's well documented. But, man, I just look at that like he just sat out for a year, did a little podcasting, and he's back.
Yeah, it's nuts. Well, and you're right. And like Matt McMahon at LSU, good guy, did a good job at Murray State. He's going to have something to deal with down the road at LSU. I mean, they're going to – there's something coming, obviously. So like you said, it's too bad that someone else is going to have to clean up.
Yeah, and the part I really hate, I mean, I don't have any problem saying this as a minority assistant and knowing what that role is like. Mm-hmm. I mean, you got Tony Bland, Chuck Person, guys just completely out of a job, won't have a job again in the business, period. Took the fall completely. These guys get let go and come back. Patino did the same thing.
Yep. Oh, absolutely. It's nuts, isn't it? But even, look at a guy like Mark Gottfried, who, had issues at NC State,
right?
Was on all these FBI wiretaps. He goes and gets a job at Cal State Northridge as the head coach, and obviously, now he's out, but still, like he went and got a job. But like the young assistants who were involved, they're not going to coach again. Which is
they'll never have a chance again at any point in time.
Yeah, you take the fall for it, and that's the whole NCAA
right.
Compliance thing now is the head coach is in charge of the program and they're supposed to know. Well, you know what? They need to know. They really, they got to.
But that's still the thing, though. Why doesn't, if the head coach is there, it's like if you do a crime, like it doesn't stay with the people you know what I mean? It stays with you, the person. You know what I mean? I don't understand that for the life of me because it just sends a wrong message of like, okay, you'll get a slap on the hand. You may have to sit out a while, but you'll come back, get a phenomenal job. You'll be back in the tournament, back making your millions, and it's no big deal.
Yeah, you're right. But I will tell you what, if I'm a betting man, I'm betting that Will Wade is actually going to be the one that wears this though now.
He was just so extreme.
Exactly. So I think that's the one guy that is not going to be back for a long time. He's back at all, and deservedly so. So that's the one guy that is going to take a fall. I think right now college basketball is a better place without him in it. So I think it's
good. Speak it. I'm all for the smoke, man. We're gonna be on the job talk. We talk hoop dirt. Let's bring the smoke. You know what I mean? I love it. Let's go back to jobs. I'm having too much fun with the openings right now. Let's go New Mexico State next. There is another one that's been mentioned that's a little bit comical. And the former Wichita State coach Greg Marshall has been slightly rumored around this job, but I think very similar enough. I just don't see even the gentleman here, Mark, their AD, Mario. I don't see him doing it. Did a good job with Jans. Jans did have his own set of baggage he came in with that some people felt extreme about. Took his time off the road, went to New Mexico State, which is a place that if you're going to rehabilitate, that's a place you can do it. However, Greg Marshall, I just don't – that seems like an extreme one that you don't want to go back down that road.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I think – so, I think James Miller has to be like the leader, has to be the guy that gets that job. But here's another interesting name that's been mentioned a lot over the last 24 hours.
Right.
Is Greg Heyer.
Mm-hmm.
Greg Heyer is at Northwest Florida. They just won the NJCAA Division I national championship.
Yes, they did.
Unbelievable year. He's been a high major assistant. He was at LSU. He was at Wichita. So there's some, that's kind of, there's been a little bit of buzz on that one too.
No doubt. Rightfully so. Greg Heyer's won like 90% of his games in JUCO. I love GH. He's like a close person in my circle of basketball people, I would say, more or less, especially over the last few years. Went to the Final Four at Wichita, has recruited high-level dudes all the time. Chipola this time. I'm so glad he won it all. And I think he deserves to be a Division I head coach. I just believe if you're there in the trenches and have built New Mexico State to what it is with Chris Jans, and you're his right-hand man, and Chris Jans is endorsing you publicly, this is the guy. Like, I just feel like, let's get it done.
Yeah, no.
And if you go back to James Miller's career in junior college, he wasn't at Northwest Florida, which is one of the best of the best, period, and has, people like Steve Forbes and others have won at the highest level there. He was at New Mexico Junior College, had 2 NBA players, and went to Hutch almost every year, and you're not supposed to do it there. They haven't done it the same way since, Right. Luke Adams doing a great job, nothing against that, but Miller is an elite basketball dude, and again, for Jans to say it, to me, is say less. And the players have endorsed it. They've been screaming it since it happened, which I think matters too. So it'd be different if they were both coming from different places, but when one is there, to me, no brainer.
You're right. He's there. He's recruited those guys. He knows the drill. But also, like you said, it's about winning. You got to win. 77-23 in 3 years at New Mexico Junior College. Right, 77-23. You can't argue with that. He knows how to win. He's recruited there. He's recruited at a high level. So that's one. You'd like to think that's going to happen.
It should be a layup. Mario, but I don't know you. I don't know if you ever watched this. Get that one done. No brainer. Okay, on to the next one. And GH, you will get a head coaching job. Just keep plugging. I believe that. I think GH.
I agree with you. He will, especially you win a national championship. Junior college Division I national championship with the high major background that he has. He's going to get a job.
Yeah, I love his story. The fact he won it because there's a lot of people who kind of looked at it like, well, GH, I don't know if he can do it in the head coaching seat. Yeah, it's like, well, he can really recruit. I used to tell GH again. We're being blunt here. We're talking about the smoke. I'm like, GH, man, they treat you like a black dude sometimes, man. Like, all you can do is recruit. Like, they think you can't coach. Like, come on, man. And so for him to be able to go win a national championship, I love it because prove he can coach.
And you know what? So let's go back to tweets. That's something that you tweeted about, guys being the total package, not just a recruiter, not just an X's and O's guys, right? Well, so he showed it, man. He's not just a recruiter. He
no doubt. He's a total. He's a high level. He's a high level relationship dude that can get those dudes believing. And I love everything about how he does it. I just think at some point in time he'll be a Division I head coach.
Total package. You're right.
All right, next opening. Let's talk about San Diego.
Yeah,
because that's a tricky one. And this one's almost like UMass. It's been open for a minute. Like. San Diego, what are we doing? A little bit of what I heard is the AD likes the attention. Again, I don't know if you watch this podcast or listen. No harm. I don't have no problem with it. It's just a word on the street. It's our job to talk about it. So Word on the street is AD likes the conversation,
Yeah.
likes to be able to connect the dots and get the attention and all of that. So, I mean, I've heard from all kinds of people. I've heard a Mountain West head coach was in conversation. I've heard Mike Burns, an assistant who's at Boise, did a terrific job. Used to be an assistant there. I've heard James Jones, as you mentioned. I've heard a few throwback coaches from out of the gate. Talk about what's going on in San Diego.
Yeah, no, you're right. That job is, again, one of those a little bit like UMass, where it's been open a long time, where you got to start moving on this. But yeah, so
none of the names mentioned are guys that are still playing. Maybe there is one.
I don't have. I got one that's still playing, possibly.
Okay, got you.
But but like I said, James Jones is definitely involved there, without a doubt.
Right.
A lot nicer living in San Diego than New Haven, Connecticut. No offense to New Haven, San Diego is a good place.
And he's just gotten it done. I mean, you talk about a place. He's won and won and won, and to go do what he's done again, I think he deserves to have that opportunity.
If you can win like he's won at Yale, you can win at San Diego.
No doubt.
Without a doubt. But so two former guys that are getting a lot of play here. Former Indiana State head coach Greg Lansing has been talking about a lot there. Yep. And then former Utah head coach Larry Kristowiak, former NBA player.
Yep.
For whatever reason, those guys are getting some play there. Darren Savino, assistant at UCLA. Yep. He's been talked about a lot there. Some scuttlebutt that maybe one of the San Diego State assistants is involved, but I don't know if there's a lot of truth to that. Right. So I just it's those are the names that you hear a lot.
Right.
I don't know if there's anything else going on there, but again, you got to think like this thing needs to get done kind of soon.
Yeah, I heard that this is just a funny. Again, no offense, Mr. AD. I don't know you. I don't even know your name, so this is no harm. Just the streets talking. I heard Wojciechowski he wanted to talk to just so he could talk to Coach K. Now, I don't know if that's true, but I just thought it was funny enough to say. I had to say it. But one name that is a good name that is kind of flying below the radar is Danny Sprinkle. I heard that name today, that he may be the one, even though he's not the one talked about, that he may sneak in there and be the guy. Done a terrific job. Obviously, Montana State's his alma mater, so that's always kind of tricky, but man, San Diego is a heck of a place to live.
Yeah,
nice job, and he's one of the people that could do a good job there, because you have to be a certain level grinder as a head coach, in my opinion, to get that done.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think Danny Sprinkle's done a great job, and like you said, it's his alma mater. I think he's going to move eventually, though, especially when you start talking money. I mean, I don't think he's making a ton at Montana State, and some of the places that will be attractive to him,
right?
We're probably going to pay him double.
Yeah, he's a guy that's next on the list. He's going to be one of those guys that people are talking about, like all these guys have just moved up. Who's the next tier to move up? He's in that category, absolutely, without a doubt.
I got one for you. Can we go to one?
Yeah, please.
One that I've been talking about to a lot of people today that just opened this week is LaSalle in Philadelphia.
Let's talk about that.
Kind of a could be a pretty good A-10 job. Some people think so, some people don't. Here's the best name I've heard there from a lot of people. Phil Martelli.
I love that name.
Associate head coach at Michigan now, was at St. Joe's forever.
Really a legend at St. Joe's if we want to just keep it a buck.
But you know what? I'll give you one more than that. He's a legend in Philadelphia.
That's a good point.
That was a Philly job. So whether it's Martelli or not, this job, it's going to be a Philly guy that gets hired there, right?
I think you said there were some odds on that. What's the odds on that?
I put 7-5 odds.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's almost like, it's almost a layup, right? 7-5 odds.
I like that.
So I like the name Martelli. The other name I really like is John Gallagher, though, from Hartford.
I do like that name. Yeah, absolutely. He's a Philly guy, true and true too.
He is. He's a Philly guy. He started his career there a long time ago as an assistant. Obviously the situation at Hartford. I mean, he took him to the NCAA tournament last year.
Still disheartening.
Mind
blowing. You thought you'd take him to the tournament, it would save it, but it didn't.
Unbelievable. Like, right. And that all came out. And it's one thing, if it came out this year, they weren't as good. But again, they weren't as good because guys left, and it's a disaster. But you're going to make that decision. Well, the decision was kind of made, but you're going to start kind of making that announcement after you play in the NCAA tournament for the first time, and all the PR and press you brought to the school. It's disgusting. I mean, not to go off on too much of a tangent, but if you read all the articles about the money that St. Peter's is bringing into the school right now for this run that they've made,
Right.
it is nuts. I mean, they're talking like upwards of $100 million,
Right.
For what they're doing right now and the PR and everything. It's gonna like transform the university.
Oh, it saved the university.
Absolutely. And then you got, guys like this president of Hartford who is, doesn't like athletics and, wants to go D3. Like, you got to be kidding me.
Right.
It's nuts. It's nuts. Like,
I think you get 1.6 million over 6 years for just making it.
Yeah.
And then obviously once you advance, you get even more. So the St. Peter's conversation is because they're now in the Sweet 16. They got a whole week and they beat Kentucky, blue blood. So, you got crazy buzz from that. And then you come back and beat Murray State. Now you're in Sweet 16. Shaheen Holloway's probably been the face of the NCAA tournament so far, which is awesome.
And it's right. And it's just the amount of press they've gotten. I mean, on every national broadcast, not just sports, like you watch
anything. It's the story.
Right. It's St. Peter's. So everybody in America right now is talking about St. Peter's. Right. 2 weeks ago when they won the MAC, was anybody talking about St. Peter's? No. I mean, St. Peter's and,
I don't know if you saw this. This is one of my favorite things from March Madness, like social media wise so far. There was a guy who literally had a phone and was standing in the street and just stood in the circle and did like this to show this is all of St. Peter's campus. This is it. You know what I mean? This is it. Nothing else.
Oh yeah. It's nuts. It is nuts. And, it's good for them, but that's, kind of going back to John Gallagher, it's too bad because, he had that thing going at Hartford.
Yep.
They won the America East. They're probably going to be good again. And then this hits, it's a shame. So that's why, I think, John Gallagher at LaSalle is a really good name there.
Yep. I agree with that.
And again, that opened this week. So that's so early there.
So early.
But
the way things are moving now, high majors are moving faster than mids, which I'm assuming that's because of the resources and all that's at stake. Mid majors haven't moved quite as quick unless they're moving guys up.
Right.
But I do understand the resources are different. So since we talked about St. Peter's, I think the big conversation, I don't even think it started yet because people are so on such a high from what they're doing, but it's got to be the biggest no-brainer of all no-brainers that are open right now. Seton Hall it's got to already be done. It's got to be.
You would think so.
The prodigal son comes home. He's not really the prodigal son, but the former hero that led him to the Sweet 16, and they're getting buzz just because he's doing what he's doing, and they're showing the pictures side by side and the whole nine.
Yeah, right. Well, the last New Jersey team to make it to a Sweet 16 in 2000 was Seton Hall, led by Shaheen Holloway.
Yep.
It just makes too much sense, right? Yep. But that's what scares me a little bit, right? It just makes too much sense. What, I mean, you and I know it works. A lot of people know it works, but a guy like Grant Billmeyer, who has been there for a long time with Willard and is kind of a local guy. What maybe he just gets promoted, Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just the hard part of it's probably if there wasn't the buzz it is. If St. Peter's has a regular year or maybe they don't even win a game, maybe it's not even a conversation.
Right.
People just don't respect it enough, unfortunately. Right. But now that he's done what he's done, he really deserves, in my humble opinion, Shaheen Holloway deserves a major job, which Seton Hall is a high major job. It's in the Big E.
Yeah.
So that's considered high major. It's a no-brainer. It's got to be a no-brainer.
I agree. And also, we talk about the buzz right now with St. Peter's. Well, Seton Hall should capitalize on that buzz a little bit. You hire Shaheen Holloway. So not only is he, a former star at Seton Hall, led Seton Hall to a Sweet 16, but look what he just did at St. Transform St. Peter's. And, he's not a Jersey guy. I get it. He's a New York City guy, but right now he is
he is a Seton Hall guy though.
Exactly.
You don't have to mess that up.
That's right. He's a Seton Hall guy. So you bring back one of your own who just did a great job, in your state. I mean, to me, it's an absolute no-brainer.
No doubt.
I hope it seems so simple, right? But we'll see. We'll see.
It should be simple. We'll see how it goes down. What else is it Western Michigan, right?
Yeah.
It's another one that's been open for a little while. Again, mid-majors open a little longer, understandably so. What's the word? Western Michigan.
So, you know what? Not a lot So I know of, and I can't say that I know of at least one, well, probably two now, two high major assistants who want nothing to do with it anymore.
Right.
I guess it is not a very attractive job right now for a lot of reasons,
Right.
salary, resources, whatever. So there's definitely some high major guys that I think were chasing it early that have now backed off. So I really have no idea where they are.
It's kind of discouraging how quickly they moved on from the last coach. And I know it felt like it was a Band-Aid at the time for budget during the pandemic.
Yep.
But to only give the coach 2 years anywhere, it's hard to be able to say, like, okay, this guy didn't get it done 2 years. We got to get somebody else. Like, come on. He just
no, right. And that's too bad. It was Clayton Bates, and it was a setup from the start. He made $150,000 less.
They got a discount big time.
Exactly. He signed a 2-year contract. You can't sign a new coach with a 2-year contract. You can't recruit anybody. You just knew it wasn't going to work out. But it from my point of view, in my mind, just kind of looking at this from the outside, like they didn't do anything to kind of correct that and set them up for success going forward. Right. Again, we talk about a lot of these jobs getting filled so quickly because ADs have plans. They know what they want. Boom, boom, boom. Hey, Georgia fires Tom Crean, and within a couple of days they have Mike White. Boom, boom, boom. Get that done, right? So this
even Illinois State as a mid-major, they got theirs done relatively fast too.
Right.
To be able to hire, their Iowa State system.
Right, exactly. So I guess my point is, if you're Western Michigan, right, in 2 years you're hiring a new coach, right? So the day that you hired Clayton Bates, why aren't you starting to set these things up?
No doubt.
And I heard from one very, very good high major assistant in the Midwest who I know very well, who was involved, who said absolutely not doing it. So I don't know what's going to happen there. And again, it's been open for a while now. So
yeah, interesting. I would I'll throw out one name. I haven't heard his name necessarily, but Charles Thomas at Duquesne interviewed at Eastern Michigan last year. Just got inducted to the Hall of Fame at Eastern Michigan. Played in the NBA. Deep roots in Michigan. If you were going to take I don't even say take a chance. If you were going to give somebody an opportunity for less that you want to invest in and see him grow it, give a guy like that a chance. Ben Johnson's had tremendous success at Minnesota in the first year where they had injuries, whatever else. All things considered, people probably didn't think he was going to be as good as he was. I just love to be able to see guys have that opportunity to do it. So I think he would be a good one, my humble opinion. Finished, I think, second in Eastern Michigan. So why not hire him at Western? And he's a grinder enough as a recruiter and a relationship guy that I think he can make that place into something that at least can be competitive, respectable, and then hopefully you can put the resources back in. You can take it to the next level. We talked to Joe Golding in an interview, and he talked about Abilene Christian. He said, I'm not going to lie to you. Like, I finally had to have a conversation and say, if we don't put money into it, it's just going to always be this.
Right.
So you can't win without the resources, but at some point there's got to be like okay, we see where you're going. We'll put some in now and see where it goes.
Yep. Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I think, with a place like Western Michigan, I think, I don't know who it's going to be at this point, but I'm assuming at this point it will not be like a high major assistant that maybe they were looking for. I think it'll be maybe one of those mid-major guys, coming from a Duquesne where, hey, you're becoming a head coach at Division I level.
Right. Out. Let's see what
like more of a mid-major type assistant.
Right.
I know no one likes to be called a low major, but someone
right, or even a low major head coach that has proven to do something similar. You look at this is way different part of the country, but Austin Kalanta at Nichols has won multiple championships at Nichols. Richie Riley's moved on, and he's always in the conversation for jobs as it keeps going. And Austin Kalanta has done a terrific job. Like, okay, let's give him an opportunity. Somebody like that who can do more with less if you're going to do it that way. All right, next one. I don't even know what else is open anymore. I feel like I've run through a couple of swag jobs. Let's do both of those at once. Alabama.
So here's the one that I don't like is Alabama A&M, right?
Yep.
So that just opened today, and that was Dylan Howard who got released.
Yep.
And so if you look at Dylan Howard, so obviously I know his record wasn't very good there, right?
Right.
But they actually had a pretty good year. They went 10-8 in the SWAC this year. They were like 12 and 18 overall. And one of the, it's hard
playing money games, so that don't even.
I was just gonna say that you can never look at a SWAC's, overall because they're going out and they're playing everybody.
The fundraising.
They have to, right? You have to do it, and that's part of it, and that sucks, but it's part of it, right? But you look at Howard's SWAC record this year; he was 10 and 8. So he had a pretty good year. 12 games is the most he had won there. Like he had in last year. It was definitely a COVID shortened year for them. They didn't play a full schedule. They only won 6 games last year. Well, he's up to 12 this year. So, to be honest, like why? Unless there's more going on, who knows? I don't know. I mean,
he's a top shelf guy, top shelf human being.
Yeah, and I was, personally, I was, and we always say like we know this is the business, and you get into it, and this is going to happen. But like when that one came across today, I was disappointed in that one. Right. I think some of these other guys, like Tim Jankovic at SMU. Retired today, fine, whatever. You kind of knew that was coming, but like you see like this one, Dylan Howard, and that's kind of that's those are the ones you don't like to see, because I think that's again, and I've talked to a lot of people about this one today, because it's I don't know, it's just not great. His overall record was not very good there. I get it, I understand.
Right.
It's hard in the SWAC, and again, but look what he did this year.
No doubt.
So, but again. You go back and I've said it here before, and I've said it other places where it is kind of this COVID trickle down, though, where
it is.
Like I said,
and I think he kind of knew it. I think he kind of knew he had a window to try to hit it and do it, and that wasn't right necessarily either, which definitely makes it harder. But I mean, again, top shelf dude, great person. He's been a Division III head coach and had success. He's been an assistant with Sean Woods when they were at Moorhead, and he's had success. So he'll bounce back and land on his feet for sure. I don't know if there's anything in Alabama State.
Alabama State's also open. I haven't heard a thing there.
Nope, haven't heard either.
No.
All right, let's talk. Give me one that's not SMU. I'm going to grab my charger while I let you talk about it and then come right back.
What are we talking about?
For any job that's not SMU, we'll talk about that when I come back.
All right, let's do that. So let's talk about Cleveland. We'll talk about Cleveland State.
I like this one. I got a little something on this one.
All right, well, so
I'll go first. Go
ahead. I want to hear what you got.
I'll let you roll. Okay. So there's 2 guys that are there. They could take over. Yeah. So on the one side, it feels like what I've been told, and didn't even look for this information, just kind of came. But LeBron's teammate, connection, he's going to step in and possibly give them the similar deal that like a Florida A&M had the LeBron gear and the whole 9, and outfit him. His home, it's Cleveland, and Joyce is going to have a chance to be a head coach. He's got family in the state that are coaching in high school that are having a lot of success and connected to players. So there's just kind of this Ohio pipeline that feels like next person up. That's kind of what I heard.
Yeah, I'm with you, and I think
Drew Joyce. Is that correct?
Drew Joyce, you're right. Yep. So Drew Joyce has been,
and his brother Cam is a high school coach in the state, and I think his father may be a high school coach as well.
Yeah, no. So that's the name, but they also have Rob Summers there as an assistant. And
yes, they do.
There's a little bit of there's a camp there that thinks he could be the guy too.
Right. But I mean, I don't know if you can go wrong with either one. The LeBron, if he does step in, it makes it hard to turn that down, that power play. But, man, those dudes help. I was in the league with those dudes. Cleveland State, they inherited. People almost forget how bad of a job Cleveland State was when they inherited it. And he got it he got the job in July.
Yep.
I mean, it was literally, we were on the road, and Cleveland State's open. It's like, now it's filled. It's like, put a team together that were really competitive. I think he might have got coach of the year the first year, if I'm not mistaken. But then second year and third year, they obviously won a championship.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. He got, I think he was coach of the year twice in a row in that league.
Yep. I think first and second year. I could be wrong.
No, you're right. But you're right. And a lot of people forget, what bad shape Dennis Felton left that program in. I mean, it was awful. It was bad. I mean, it was
a lot of madness going on. And it was a mass exodus.
Yep. So, so a couple things there, though. Rob Summers and Drew Joyce. So, a lot of times, a coach leaves, especially a coach gets fired, the assistants are the ones that suffer. Both these guys are going to be fine.
Right.
Because one of them's going to
one's going to be at Missouri.
Right.
One's going to be there.
Exactly. One's going to be in the SEC here. So,
Okay.
It's not a terrible, it's kind of a win-win. Obviously you want to be a head coach, but, being an assistant in the SEC is not a terrible thing either, right?
No doubt. No doubt.
So, and again, if those are the guys, but you got to figure, again, I know we've talked about this a lot today already. It has to be one of those guys. You got to bump one of those guys.
Got to bump them up. I agree. I love it. All right. What's another one? Is there any more open? Oh, let me see. See what we got. See what I have not covered.
I'm looking at my list too.
Lafayette, probably not much. All right, I'm gonna give you one. La Tech. We'll talk La Tech. I'm gonna bounce and go get my charger. You're gonna talk La Tech. I'll be right back.
Hold on. Let's go back to Lafayette first.
Okay, let's go Lafayette and La Tech.
All right, we're gonna go to Lafayette first. All right. So from what I've got, it seems like they're down to 6 right now. A group of 6 finalists. 2 current Division III head coaches that have been Division I assistants, 2 Division I assistants from bigger schools, and a couple others. But it seems like they've finally gotten that down to 6. It seems like it's going to be a guy from like a high academic background,
right?
But also a guy that has recruited at the Division I level, and probably a guy that has recruited maybe in the Ivy League. So I think, you look at Lafayette, I think that'll get done sooner rather than later at this point. Like I said, down to 6. Definitely know some guys that have been there. So that's an interesting one. Louisiana Tech. Man, this one is so fresh. Eric Kunkel obviously did a great job there. Moved on to Tulsa. Great job for him. Early on, again, and Brian and I, we've talked about it a lot today, is the assistant getting the bump. You look at a guy, maybe like Duffy Conroy, who's been there for a while, as a guy, maybe in the mix. Don't know. But it's so early there. At Louisiana Tech, like I said, Conroy's been there. I think he's been there like 7-8 years.
Yep.
I think he'd be the next man up. But I to be honest, I don't know if that's the guy there.
Yep.
Again,
it feels like the higher you go, the mid-major plus-ish, mid-major jobs, it doesn't happen as much without having maybe that tournament success. It feels like it has to be a part of it. Although La Tech did win the league last year. Duffy Conroy definitely. I feel like sometimes, again, at that level, they just almost want a little bit more from you to do that. Because they want to look for a reason not to do it versus a reason to do it. Versus like Murray State and New Mexico State, well, they went to the tournament, So it's just a different, I don't know, for ADs, it feels like it's different. But I did hear a name that they reached out to that sounds like he's pretty locked in where he's at was Jordan Minsky. Deal to like 2040, I think. No, it's 30, I think. But still, he signed a long-term deal at that level. Not many guys sign deals like that at that level. Credit to the AD and Jordan Minsky. But I did hear that he's going to be locked in there and keep winning and almost maybe steal a little bit from the Dennis Gates book and, just win where he's at and then get the next higher level job.
Right. No, you're right. No, I think he's in a great situation there. And, but I think you make a really good point about Louisiana Tech. You call him like a mid-major plus.
Yeah.
I think you're right. And that's why, I think, you talk about they might be attractive to a current head coach from maybe the A-Sun or one of those leagues, where it is a bump. So that's where it's a little bit different. Like you said, like a guy like Duffy Conroy, who's been an assistant there, that might be a harder promotion.
Right.
Again, going back to like James Miller, New Mexico State, it's an NCAA tournament team. He's a proven head coach.
And they've done it more than once. They've done the NCAA tournament more than once. So that's
exactly. And you can look at James Miller's resume and see 77-23 as a junior college head coach, where you can't look at that. So that's one of those where I think that's probably going to be truly open, and looking forward to kind of hearing some other names. over the next couple of days.
Good job, though. I mean, if you look at people that have been there, Mike White was there before Conkle.
That's right.
Mike White, I believe, was a high major assistant when he got the job, correct?
I believe he was too. Yeah, he was.
So was Eric Conkle.
Yep.
A high major job.
Yep.
Chris Caputo, we haven't mentioned in a little while, but I feel like with the year that they're having, that he's going to get some opportunity, and deservingly so. Has been the right-hand man there with Larinaga.
So he's definitely involved in George Washington as well.
Yeah, I thought I heard that. Okay.
Yeah, and I didn't mention him earlier. I don't know why I got too many notes here, but he is definitely involved there, without a doubt. So there's a fourth, and again, like Brian, I'm getting old, and some of this stuff kind of,
That's all right. That's all right.
So there is another guy involved at George Washington, who is a high major assistant from the Midwest, who is definitely involved at George Washington.
I like it.
But I would put Caputo and high major assistant from the Midwest who doesn't want his name on any of this stuff.
Right.
Definitely involved.
I like it. I like to see it. Ball State's one we haven't talked about yet. I heard Terry Johnson from Purdue today. I don't know if that's accurate.
Yep.
I've heard a few names for this job, actually. I heard a gentleman at Ryan Murphy. Is that his name? It's that Murphy that's at Notre Dame. I heard his name today.
Yeah.
What are you hearing on Ball State?
Well, I think the one kind of getting the most juice right now is Michael Lewis from UCLA.
Nice. I heard that. I read that with you.
Well, he's an Indiana native. He played at Indiana for Bobby Knight. Yep. But I think the reason he's getting the most juice is because, a few days ago, Mick Cronin said publicly, hey, Ball State, you got to hire Michael Lewis.
I love it.
He's got a lot of guys.
Shout out to Mick Cronin, man. I love it. Put it out there.
Yeah, exactly. So he put it out there. A couple other names that you hear a little bit. Link Darner, who's there as an assistant. We talked about him last time. I mean, I think it's a sneaky play.
Tricky one.
Yeah, you never know. Maybe. And I had a couple more. Oh, how about and I think we talked about this one last time too. Ben McCollum from Northwest Missouri State. I watched Northwest Missouri State play today. I mean, they're phenomenal.
Whew.
I mean, they're like
well-oiled machine.
They really are. They're so good. I mean, he's going to get a Division I job soon.
I just wonder with him, what's taking so long for people to do it?
Yeah. No, I agree. I don't know why. So, he was definitely involved at Milwaukee. Milwaukee went and hired Bart Lundy from Queens and Charlotte, which was a great hire. I think he's going to be great there. But I don't know why. I don't know what's taking anybody so long to hire Ben McCollum. And again, I watched the second half of their game today against Bentley. They blew Bentley out. Like, you watch them and like they are like a Division I program. I mean, there's no you watch
beat a lot of them.
Yeah. So that's
one of the best offensive coaches in the country.
Yeah, and what the other thing is that I watch these guys. They took 4 charges today. They play so hard. They're big. They're physical, and they just get up in you. They put a run on Bentley today that was unreal because they just got up in them. Bentley got frustrated and just started running guys over.
You want to come say hi? Yeah, I got some snacks brought down to me. Thanks.
Oh, nice, beautiful.
Yeah, you don't have to say hi. I just wanted.
You can say hi. What do we got? Any good snacks?
Oh, you're gonna say hi? Wow, making it appearance.
Hey, what's happening?
This is Adam
Not
Nelson.
much.
Yes,
Hey, nice to
you're on
meet
Hoop
you.
Talk. You're live.
Oh, exciting.
You brought us snacks? We have snacks?
We did yogurt and granola and popcorn.
Oh, that's healthy. I thought we were gonna get like chocolate or something. No?
Healthy snacks.
We'll take it.
I guess we'll take it.
Nice
Thanks
to
for
meet you.
snacks. Nice to meet you.
Appreciate you gracing us with your presence.
You're welcome.
Thanks. See you tomorrow.
Yes, have a good night.
Yes, thanks. All right. We got the entertainment for tonight.
I love it.
All right, Ball State. What else we got? I don't even know. What else we got? We got a few more left.
I think we're good. I think we cover most of the good ones. So here's the other thing I'll say that.
Yes.
So far.
Oh, I got one more. Go ahead. I like this.
No, because I'll wrap it with this. Go ahead. Give me one more.
This is the one I said to hold on for. So the SMU one.
Yep.
Is the one everyone's buzzing about and everyone's talking about. And I definitely have some opinions on it. I'm definitely close to the gentleman involved, or the name that's involved. I work for McCaslin.
Yep.
And close to those guys at North Texas.
Yep.
I have not talked to any of them about it. Yep. I just think it's tricky, man. My humble opinion is I understand why he would be the target. It makes sense.
Yep.
But here's the flip side to all the people that are saying that he's going to do it. And I think even maybe one person, maybe Jeff Goodman was the one that finally said, like, it may take a lot more money to do it. Whatever he said, I don't know. But here's the thing. They're in the same league now, right? And you're talking about probably between SMU, which is in Highland Park, downtown area of Dallas, uptown area of Dallas, to Denton, Texas, is probably 30 minutes, maybe 45 at the most, right? So you're looking at barely moving, but the job is so different at the two places.
Yeah.
One's a private school, one is not. One, you're already there, you're already beloved, you're already the hero in a sense to put the program where it's never been. It's just a different job when you go there. Then your staff changes because Grant McCasland, if he does take SMU, Ross Hodge gets the new UNT job. That's pretty much been said and known. So now your right-hand man is no longer there. You're in the same league coaching against each other. The Americans probably a two-bid league on normal years. Memphis and someone else probably will say for now because it's changed. There's no Houston. Wichita State's not in the same place that they've been in. And so Cincinnati's not in the same place they've been in. They're not in the league anymore. So the league is different. But if you look at the formula, this is, again, my humble opinion. Number one, I think if he's going to make the move, Grant, then he's going to get a Power 5 job. That's my humble opinion. He deserves one. He's as good as every single person, if not better resume than the head coaches we've talked about that have gotten these jobs. Yep. There just hasn't been as many Big 12 jobs, more his region. Yep. And then I think the other part is if you look at the roster of what they've had success with, it's been JUCO guys. JUCO guys don't really go to SMU. That doesn't really fit. So I don't know. I'm not saying he's not going to do it. If he does it, I'm excited for him. If he does, I'm excited for him. If he doesn't, but I think there's more to the story, and these dudes are calculated guys. And they want to put this position for not only quality of life. He has a great relationship with his AD Renbaker, who's a high-level AD, which is what you want. And having a job, you want to have the support to know whatever you need to get, you can get done. I don't think it's going to be a money deal. It's like, again, that's just my humble opinion, because if you're going to do one of those hard jobs, because the expectation in North Texas is where it is, and they've built that. Now, people may expect that still, but you go to someplace new, now you got to do it again. And if it's not the place that you really want to be, I don't know. Power 5, we all know most of the time in those leagues, if you can finish with us, you have so many more opportunities to go to the tournament versus in the AAC, you're not going to have the same level of opportunity. So if you're going to do it, why not just stay where you are, where you can kind of fly underneath some parts of the radar? Your staff is in place. You know how to do it there. I don't know. That's just my thoughts. That was a lot. Sorry.
No, listen. So that's you know that situation probably better than a lot of people out there. So I would defer to you. But here's the only thing that I heard from a couple people today, right?
Yeah, please.
And you talk about the money. I think the money is a big factor when you think about, McCasland making, reportedly about $600,000 at North Texas,
right?
And going to SMU where you might make $2 million or just over $2 million.
Now, if you're gonna pay that kind of money, that changes everything.
Yeah. That's
that is Power 5 money.
Right. So that's kind of the word on the street is that's like a $2 million a year job. So, that's 1.4 more million reasons that he might consider it.
So I think on the flip side, playing both sides of it, right? There's two sides. Yep. The other side is, well, they put the money up for Larry Brown and they put the support up. They have it. They have the arena. They have they have enough cachet. They've done it. So it can be done there. Yep. But if they're playing Power 5 money, that changes everything, because ultimately people are still trying to provide for their families. Yep. And if you can hire a high-level staff with Power 5 assistant money, that also changes the game. You know what I mean? I mean, you think about when Larry Brown went there, Jarens Howard and Uric Malagi were two of his hires. They're now the assistants at Texas, and they've been at Kansas and everywhere else. So
big time.
Yeah, big time money. If you're talking about the big time money, it could change the game. So we'll drop the mic on that.
Boom.
I'm not looking to sway one way or the other. Whatever he does, happy for him. He's gonna kill it.
I got it. I got you.
All right, final thoughts on the top stuff.
Last thought right here, right?
Yep.
So in this kind of off season, or this season, so 43 jobs have opened so far, right? And open, close, whatever. So it's 43.
I think you picked 50.
I put 58.5.
Yeah, okay.
And I will tell you this: we're still going to sneak up and get close to that. There's still a bunch are going to open. So it might not quite get there. I was surprised that a couple guys got that vote of confidence and are getting a year.
Yeah.
But pay attention these next couple of weeks. Like, we're not done yet. Like, it may be slowing a little bit, maybe, but we're not done because there's still a bunch of mid and quote unquote low majors that are going to open. There is definitely a bunch sitting out there. Probably a couple on Friday of this week. ADs love to do it. They like to sneak him in on Friday night and then Sunday afternoon. So between Friday night of this week and Sunday, you're going to see a couple more open.
Right.
Without a doubt. I think we're going to have that slow trickle getting us, nudging us past 50 soon here and getting close to that 58. So we are not done yet.
Yeah, I will say it seems like people have been, especially the high majors, and that's the ones that get all the attention. But it seems like it's happened so much faster on hires and fires than normal. Any non-Division I jobs that are new that stick out to you to mention before we close? And we will, for those that follow and watch the episodes, we will have a second episode coming up. This is episode 5. We'll have episode 6. Episode 6 will actually talk about some of the hires and the current basketball climate, Sweet 16, in Division III championship, NAIA championship. We'll go through all that. So we'll go through that next. But any other jobs that are non-Division I, and of course you can always find stuff at hoopdirt.com. You guys, if you don't know that, then we got other problems. But
well, here's the only one, and I don't know if you consider this a non-Division I anymore or not, but Queen's University of Charlotte.
Yes, I'm glad you mentioned that.
Great job. Great job. And obviously I think they're going to go Division I, and but that's a really good job. So that's one to keep an eye on. Like you said, Bart Lundy's done a great job there. Parlayed that into Milwaukee, which I think he can do good things in there. So, but that's one that's opened recently that I think will be a good one. Other than that, the NAIAs and junior colleges have been, moving and grooving. A lot of new openings. The Division IIIs are starting to open. North Central College in Illinois just opened. That's a good job. He took an NAIA job at Hastings College. So there's definitely stuff starting to move, man. Keep an eye on those small colleges. Carleton College just opened. So some really good stuff.
What about the Queens? Have you heard? I'm assuming there may be someone in place there. That's is there somebody that you're hearing about this one? Because I did hear a name from this kind of out of the blue.
Yeah. So, what did you hear?
I heard Mountain West assistant Nate Dixon used to be an assistant there.
Yep.
I think started his career there. Maybe somebody was telling me, but they thought like he was going to be deep in this thing. So I don't know if that's true. Yeah. People give me random information now. I'm not on your level by any means, but
I'll tell you. So they've got a guy in place there right now, Grant Leonard, who's their associate.
Yeah, I figured he had to be considered.
Yeah, and he's been in there. So from what I hear, and I've actually talked to some people there, he actually has a lot of internal support. There is a lot, but it's a little bit different when you talk about a possible move to Division I. I think if Queens was 100% staying Division II, committed, boom, 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 he's your guy without a doubt, right? But it becomes a little bit of a different ballgame when you talk about moving to Division I. So I don't know. I mean, he's a really, really good guy, and I hope he would have the chance to get this. But that's a phenomenal job. Yeah,
big time job and big time history. And I love the ideas going Division I because we keep seeing it, whether it's St. Peter's, Abilene Christian, just smaller college schools, or Roberts just getting these huge wins in the tournament. UMBC going back to kind of Nate Dixon and his head coach was a part of that. So just love to see those small schools when they get a chance to get in the tournament and then make some noise. Yeah, man, there's nothing like it. It's a game changer.
It is.
Well, episode 5, we are done. You know where to find us. Episode 6 coming next. Stay live.